not all the time, but yeah.
Well, like, we're about to talk about one of my favorite characters, and he had such an iconic voice.
Well, yeah.
But because of someone who listens to this podcast, I still won't do the voice.
What a shame.
Yeah. Anyways, welcome to Travelers, Tips, and Tales. I'm Mike.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Ben.
And today we are going to be talking to you guys about barbarians. Rage! Barbarians are the first in a long list of classes that we're going to be covering for you guys. We're going to be covering this whole series of 5th edition classes, and we hope that we can bring something a little bit different to the table instead of just a normal description that goes way too far in depth than what you probably are looking for. We want to just kind of touch on the basics so you get an idea of what the class is capable of, what kind of different things they have that other classes really don't. And we also want to break down some time to explain to you different ways that you can roleplay the class that goes against the typical portrayal of it, as well as we're going to be answering a question that we talked about in our last episode and said that we would be covering it in this series. And that is talking about the best low-level items for each class. And Ben has put together a great little list here of the items that really are some of the best low-level items for a barbarian.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, of course. And before we get into the meat and potatoes of the barbarian, which, by the way, is all barbarians really need to eat.
Yeah, that's about it. That's all of it. The meat and potatoes.
Actually,
There's nothing else. There's nothing other than that.
Not too long ago, that you can survive like a healthy diet if you just eat potatoes and butter.
Yeah, potatoes have like pretty much everything.
Yeah, and butter has.
There's a reason hobbits love potatoes. Potatoes.
Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
Oh yeah, dude. I love a good stew.
Oh yeah, always. Anyways, let's get right into how to make a barbarian and what makes a barbarian great. So
this kind of felt like
everything.
I feel like this could be like a cold open. Like we could cut to commercial break right now. Michael,
dude, we cut to commercial breaks. That's
just
all
me
the time.
telling you to put the ad right there.
Oh, once we get that edited, I'm gonna need you to timestamp that for me.
Okay, I'm leaving that in. I think it's fun.
Okay.
This is us coming back right now.
Welcome back from the ad, guys.
For you,
but I didn't know I was gonna place in there yet.
For you, it was like a minute or whatever, but for us, it was like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Movie magic, everybody.
Jacob.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and tell the listeners what abilities make a barbarian a barbarian? What are the most important things for it?
Well, obviously strength and constitution are the big boys. It kind of depends on what kind of barbarian you want to make. So I know plenty of barbarians that focus more on the tank side than the damage output, and they really only focus on constitution and dex to get that sweet, sweet high ass hit points. and then the dex for a very large AC. But I know a lot of people that also focus more on the, shredding of flesh side of the barbarian class, and they focus a lot more on strength. And then some of those high rollers out there who just roll really good for their stats get all three. But yeah, for the barbarian, you're that bumbling idiot who will fail every charm check, every saving throw against being charmed or whatever.
And so help your party when it happens.
If you built it right, they will perish.
Yeah, basically as a barbarian, you're a very physical person, so you need the physical stats to be good.
Any mental stats that you have that are okay afterwards, it's just a plus.
Yeah. And the reason that Dex and Con are two of the best ones to get as a barbarian, if you want to be kind of a tank and just take a lot of hits, or take a lot of the attention, you're not necessarily going to take hits with those two stats being high, because you get an unarmored defense that is an average, or sorry, not an average. It is a value equal to 10 plus your dexterity modifier plus your constitution modifier. If you have 20 dex and 20 con at level 1 somehow, then you have a 20 AC without armor.
So long as you're not wearing armor. That's the idea.
Yes.
Plus,
but
you can add a shield to that.
Yeah, on the plus side, barbarians, unarmored defense is a rare thing for subclasses, or for classes, but barbarians one of the only ones that actually gets a benefit from a shield as well.
Yeah.
And if you get a +3 shield, that's a +5 bonus, 25. And then if you hit level 20 with 20 constitution, it actually goes up to 24, which gives you a +7 modifier, which gives you 7 natural armor.
We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah. Let's work our way through the unique features here. So, obviously,
I love Barbarian. I just want to say I love Barbarian a lot. It's one of my favorite classes. I play a lot of Barbarian.
Yeah.
You can't have a barbarian that doesn't rage.
That's a good
Rage
point.
is one of the key features that you will use constantly as a barbarian. It gives you bonuses to damage. It gives you advantage on strength checks. You just can do so much.
Resistance to damage.
It gives you resistance to damage.
Depending on your subclass, yes.
No.
Well, it does.
It gives you
It gives you
resistance to
resistance to damage no matter what. But some
Oh,
subclasses
yeah.
add on top of that.
For
Which
some
just means
reason,
subclass, your
for some
rage
reason,
is
I was
even
forgetting
more
about the
rage.
basics.
Yeah. Come on, Michael. Man.
Listen, man, I'm out of practice. I've been playing bards and druids.
You've been playing only spellcasters since.
Get out of here. Get out of here with your spellcasters, Michael. We don't want you.
We don't need any of that fancy pantsy magic schmazzy.
All right. Anyways, Jacob, would you like to explain Reckless Attack?
Reckless attack is pretty simple. You declare at the beginning of your action that you're going to make all your attacks reckless, and then you swing with advantage, but it's a risk that hopefully your Dex and Con can pay that for, because it also makes it so that everything that attacks you for the next turn has advantage as well. So beware, barbarians. But, I mean, let's face it, you're all going to do it anyways, every time, no matter what. So, who cares?
Yeah, Reckless Attack is great. There are downsides, but really, I mean,
Who cares?
you're a barbarian, you're meant to get hit, so
Yeah.
you're kind of planning on it.
Yeah. Also, if you take certain feats, people attacking you is just all the more better.
Yeah. And the next one is Brutal Critical, which Brutal Critical is really neat because when you get a natural 20 on the die, whenever you attack, typically when you roll a natural 20, you roll twice the amount of dice. At least that is how we rule it in our game.
Yeah. Well, I do it different, but yeah.
Some people do it to where you roll one die and then you double that value.
Mm-hmm.
Jacob does it to where you roll one
I
die
do it a
and
really
then you
weird
get
way.
a max value
Of one
on
of your
top
die.
of that. So if you
That's just
roll
my homebrew.
if you roll a D10 for your weapon, then you would get
10 plus
whatever,
whatever
you
you
roll. Yeah.
plus whatever your modifier is.
Yeah. But Brutal Critical, so at 9th level, you get to roll an additional weapon damage die. So that 1d10, if you get a critical, might be 2d10 if that's how you're playing it. And then with Brutal, it would now be 3.
Yep.
And
Another
Brutal
cool thing.
gets better as you level up, which
Yes.
is amazing.
At
Yep.
13th level, you get a second additional die. And at 17th, you get a third.
Absolutely absurd.
It's insane how much damage you can do with this. Keep in mind, though, you can only do it on a melee attack, which, if you're a barbarian and you're not doing melee attacks, what's wrong with you? You're meant to be up close and in people's faces.
The enemy is flying. That's what's wrong. I can't read. Throwing javelins, but it's not working.
Jump.
Oh, I also never said this with reckless attacks, but it's only for melee attacks too. So another reason why are you making ranged attacks?
I already told you.
Oh, did you?
And then-
I
I
didn't
want
notice.
the problem, and I'm too dumb to think of the answer.
And Ben, you kind of covered Primal Champion there a little bit. Would you like to go more into that?
Certainly.
Oh,
So,
goodness.
Primal Champion is a level 20 ability. Now, if you've watched other videos about people talking about D&D classes, level 20 is the highest you can go, typically, unless you're homebrewing something above that. Level 20 is the cap on levels, and it's the highest any class will go. So the level 20 ability is usually something big and awesome. So level 20 ability for Barbarian increases your strength and constitution by up to 4, and it goes up to 24. So you can get +7 bonuses on strength and constitution, and because of another ability that Barbarians have at high level, which is Indomitable Might, which is what you get at 18th level, your total for a strength check can never be less than your strength score, which means that while you're raging, you have advantage on strength checks with your insanely high modifier, and even if you roll below what you think it should
So
be,
if somehow the dice gods frown upon you,
yeah, you can just make it a 24. Automatic. 24 on any strength check ever.
it's pretty ridiculous.
Because why not?
Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Yeah. I gotta love it when there's ways to make it so that you can't roll below a certain number.
Unless you're rolling that one, but that's not.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that we've gotten a few of the unique features that you really can't find with any other class, let's move on to the different subclasses that you can choose from when it comes to barbarians. Ben, would you like to go into the Ancestral Guardians?
Certainly. So, Ancestral Guardian is a little bit of a different approach to what most associate with Barbarian. Most of the other subclasses are you being upfront and being very aggressive, dealing as much damage as possible, things like that. But the Ancestral Guardian's a little different. The Ancestral Guardian makes it so that you are able to protect and defend your allies while you are on the battlefield. You summon up the spirits of your ancestors to protect the people around you, give them disadvantage on attacking anyone but you, and if they do try to attack someone other than you, they take damage at higher levels. You get to contact your ancestors to commune with them and gain knowledge. You're a little bit much more of the defensive type of barbarian, where you might focus on dexterity and constitution so that you can take a lot of hits and you can stay up longer and you can keep protecting the people around you. It's a much more spiritual approach than a lot of the other ones, with the exception of, for the most part, and the Totem Warrior. It's much more spiritual. You're much more in touch with your ancestors and the spirits of old, and it's a cool one, but it's not for everybody. If you want to be the classic barbarian that goes and rages and attacks and deals a bunch of damage, Ancestral Guardians is not for you. But if you're looking for someone to be a team player and rely on your teammates, and your teammates rely on you, Ancestral Guardian is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, definitely. Ancestral Guardian has quite a few benefits to it. Being able to give disadvantage to your enemies whenever they attack your teammates is huge. That could potentially turn the entire battle around if you guys are in a very bad spot. The next subclass is Battle Rager. Battle Rager is only accessible to dwarves, at least the way that it is intended. you as a DM are always free to lift any restrictions that you want and allow other people to take whatever. And basically, a battle rager is a dwarf follower of one of the gods of war, and they specialize in wearing bulky, spiked armor, and they tend to throw themselves into combat and use their body to strike their enemies. And you also gain access to something called Battle Rager armor, and that's what gives you the ability to use the spiked armor as a weapon, and it allows you to use a bonus action as well to make a melee attack with your armor spikes. So being able to get an extra attack off at 3rd level is always really good. Any extra damage you can do, even if it's only a D4, that's fantastic. So being a battle rager has its advantages and disadvantages. Being only able to be a dwarf if you want to try and take that as a barbarian. But like I said, DMs, if you think it fits thematically with a character, think about letting them take it. You know?
Yeah.
Rule of cool. That's what happens.
Rule of cool.
What happens, happens. You know, it's all about having fun, and at the end of the day, if a guy wants to run at full speed towards the enemy wearing spiky armor while magic spells are going off all around him and people are holding spears up for him to run into, let him do it, man.
Yeah.
I realize that was a long explanation for just let them do what they do.
Hey, man. Sometimes it just be like that.
Some people don't think it be how it be, but it be.
Yeah. So, the next one that we're going to go over is Berserker. Berserker is basically raging for rage and violence sake.
Oh,
No real purpose to it. You're dealing damage.
There is a purpose.
Yeah.
the way that I always kind of looked at the Berserker, there's this kind of like thing that I feel like a good amount of D&D players say, that just for the fighter's subclass champion, people like to title it as the subclass that puts more fighter in your fighter.
Yeah.
I always kind of looked at Berserker as the subclass that puts more barbarian in your barbarian.
It really does. It really does.
It definitely does.
The first thing that Berserker gives you is you can go into a frenzied rage at 3rd level when you first take this subclass. And when you go into a frenzied rage, for the duration of that rage, you can make a single melee weapon attack as a bonus action on each of your turns. Yeah. When your raid ends, you do suffer a level of exhaustion, but at the same time, like I mentioned with Battle Rager, getting that extra damage out every turn is always helpful. That helps end fights quicker. That helps get you to the end goal that much faster.
Yeah, I would say that Path of the Berserker for barbarians is definitely that old adage, the flame that burns twice as bright but half as long.
Yeah.
Because you definitely wear yourself out with that frenzy rage. You don't have to go into a frenzy rage, I will say.
Yeah.
But if you're not doing a frenzy rage, what are you doing, man?
You just can't do it too many times between rests, otherwise you die.
You know what? I bet you make ranged attacks too, you filthy scum. Just like
I will say that is the exact subclass that Brick happens to be. So I'm very, very happy with that particular subclass.
Yeah.
And the last thing that you get from Berserker is the second favorite thing for me, which is why I'm kind of skipping to it. At 14th level, whenever you take damage from a creature within 5 feet of you, you can use your reaction to make a melee weapon attack against that creature. At 5th level, as a barbarian, you get 2 attacks. And if you are in Frenzy, then you have 3 attacks a turn. And with Retaliation, you potentially have 4 attacks a turn.
OP.
Which
It's
gets you-
phenomenal.
Is that a really mad fighter I see?
I don't know if you guys are familiar with the term action economy when it comes to D&D.
Well, if we aren't, our viewers are
Yeah,
probably
so I'm
not,
asking. I'm asking you two. So, are you familiar with that term?
I'm familiar, yes.
Why you gotta
So,
call me out?
essentially, what it means is, for those who don't know, like action economy is kind of like the way that what your actions do constitute to numbers in terms of how much damage you can put out, how much healing you can do, stuff like that. It makes combat flow the way it does. With Frenzy Rage Berserker Barbarians, you gain an incredible amount of damage output. You gain more actions per turn because you're using all of them for attacks,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which is amazing, first of all. Because generally speaking, in 5th edition and in other systems as well, the team with the most actions wins, which is why parties of adventurers tend to win against bosses, because bosses just don't have that many actions.
Okay, that makes sense.
Which is why the harder the boss, the more actions it has. The more multi-attack, the more legendary actions, the more layer actions. That's why it gets so complicated at higher levels, because you have to keep up with all of these crazy people that are running around doing a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one of the best ways to be one of those crazy people is to use your action to make 2 attacks, your bonus action to make another attack, and your reaction to make another attack. and then have the cleric in the back healing you with one of their actions. And
This is starting to sound like my monk, Ben. I don't know.
Oh, dude, you give one of these guys one of those gloves, dude. They will never
We'll talk
stop.
about it. We'll talk about it in a couple episodes for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was a homebrewed item though, so don't get your
Yeah.
hopes up because your DM might not be as nice as mine was, who just allowed me to like break his game.
However, if you would like to know what that homebrew item is, we may be putting that out at some point for you guys to see.
Yeah.
No, we won't. I didn't make that.
Yeah, we didn't.
Never
make the homebrew item.
mind.
I found it somewhere.
I tell you
on the
what,
internet.
for every one item I use that is not mine, I will put out 3 that are.
There you go. You guys just
Can
got
we
3
can we
items.
legally do that?
If by legally do that you mean hold me to that, I think technically no, but I will try to hold myself to it.
Anyways,
we'll
Jake.
cover it. We'll cover it on a future session anyway.
Yeah.
So
We'll
Dude,
at
even
least
if-
talk
even if
about
we
it.
don't, even if we don't,
Word.
even if we don't give you the JPEG directly, you can just write it all down.
Yeah, we'll at least
I'm not
talk to
gonna
you
lie.
guys about it.
I love the item so much, I'll probably read it word for word. Because it's really in the
Anyways,
wording that breaks the weapon. But anyways.
Yeah. Jake, why don't you go ahead and explain to them the Storm Herald Barbarian?
Yeah, so the Storm Herald, I'm not going to lie. I'm going to be straightforward with you listeners. I'm not that big of a barbarian guy. But I just recently looked into the Storm Herald subclass because, I got to pull my weight.
Otherwise, you're fired.
But and
By the end of the week, you're fired.
it really looks cool. I mean, it's kind of like what I'm about to talk about, which is my favorite subclass from the Barbarian Totem, but I'll get to that in a minute. But it's kind of like that, but in a different and better way, if you ask me, a little bit. So pretty much, to start off, one really big thing to know is that from now on, once you take this subclass, you have an aura around you, which is just pretty much anything within 10 feet of you. And everything else in the subclass kind of stacks on top of that. So kind of like the totem subclass, every time you get an ability from this subclass, you actually choose between 3 different abilities. And all of them basically fall into these 3 different categories of desert, sea, and tundra. And the way I look at it, it's kind of like heat-based, I wouldn't say cold-based for sea, but because cold is definitely tundra, but sea is kind of like, I don't know, I guess watery based. So to start off, just the ones that you get at level 3 are already pretty good. For desert, anyone within your aura that you choose takes a certain amount of damage that upgrades as you gain levels in that subclass. And it's all fire damage. And then starting with the C one, when you start your rage, you can make someone make a saving throw, a dex saving throw, and they take X amount of D6 lightning damage, and that upgrades as you get farther as well. And then as Tundra, you gain a bunch of temporary hit points. So it's really cool. I'm not gonna lie, it's pretty awesome looking. And then at 6th level, on top of getting immunity and whatever damage that you choose, with Desert being fire, Sea being lightning, and Tundra being cold, you also get a bunch of other stuff. It's really cool, actually. So with Desert, you can touch like flammable stuff, and you can just set it on fire as long as like no one's wearing it or anything. And you also have like, you're also, I think, and you don't. It's not even like you have advantage against saving throws against heat exhaustion, but you just don't suffer from it anymore. So get wrecked, people in desert campaigns. And and then with the Tundra one, you can touch water and freeze it, but you also are all of a sudden resistant to whatever type of damage that was, which is pretty OP if you ask me, because any damage resistance is delicioso. And then at 10th level, you get to add that damage resistance to any of your allies that you choose within your radius, which is 10 feet, which is pretty great as well. So if you're not the only like frontline fighter, then you can also buff up your homies as well, which is super nice. And then at 14th level, you just get a bunch of more cool stuff. I'm not gonna lie, they're all pretty cool. But yeah, that's a bit about Berserker.
No, that's Storm Herald, not Berserker.
Or not Berserker. I don't know why I said Berserker. I just looked up at my screen and saw Berserker, and so that's what I said. But yeah, what do you guys think? Storm Herald.
I think Storm Herald is a really unique take for barbarians because it brings in an elemental aspect that you wouldn't necessarily associate with too many barbarians except for maybe people like Thor. And it gives you a chance to really branch into kind of a magical base, but still be fully just damage.
It doesn't really like fully commit though, I feel like.
Yeah.
Cuz a lot of the abilities are just like things that you do like a couple times, like whenever you rage, so that's it.
Yeah.
Like it's still like rage based. And that I don't know. It's not like it's giving you like spell slots or anything. Like a couple other subclasses in D&D where it's just like, "Oh, you're a class, but now you have spells too. Congrats."
Yeah.
It takes a more interesting take on it.
Yeah, I think it's something unique that you don't find in very many classes in this game. Is Storm Herald Barbarian definitely has over a lot of other things.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. What do you think, Ben?
I think you guys pretty much covered it. Not gonna lie.
That's fair, I guess. So I guess I'll start talking about Totem then, which is my favorite subclass for Barbarian for one reason and one reason only. I'm not gonna lie. I just love making tanks. So Totem kind of builds the same way as Storm Herald does, where every time you level up in this class, you get to choose between. Every time you get a subclass feature, you get to choose between 3. Instead of the categories being desert, tundra, and sea, now it's bear, eagle, and wolf. So you're kind of like touching into the druidic, kind of like nature-based side of barbarians here. And starting off at level 3, you heard me, level 3, you can choose bear, and you literally get resistance to all types of damage, but psychic when you're raging. So all that magic damage, all that fire, lightning, whatever, I don't even feel it.
Absolutely insane.
You can only hurt me through my brain.
Just very easy to do.
Yeah.
Actually, hold on.
What?
I just realized something. The reason Totem Warrior is is not resistant to psychic damage. The only damage they're not resistant to is because in order to become a totem barbarian, you have to open your mind up to the spirits of the world. You have to leave that part of yourself vulnerable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is pretty crazy, pretty wild.
Yeah, that is the exact word to describe it. Wild. But yeah. So, Eagle. I don't know why, but I thought Ben's laugh was hilarious there. Eagle. When you're raging and not wearing armors, everyone else has disadvantage on attacking you, which is pretty nice. Also, it can cancel out with your reckless attacking, which is pretty cool. But keep in mind, you're giving up resistance to almost all damages here for this. So, not to put it down or anything, but Bear's way cooler. And you can also use the dash action as your bonus action if you want when you take Eagle. And then Wolf kind of gives you like pack tactics, but not really. It's basically you have advantage on melee attacks. Or no, everyone else has advantage on melee attacks against someone as long as you're within 5 feet of them. So like as long as you're helping surround someone, everyone else gets buffed, and then you're doing reckless attacks, so you get advantage anyways. So it all kind of evens out. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then at 6th level, you can take Bear to double your like carrying capacity. You could also like push and like pull and just be a real strong boy all the time. Eagle, you get like really good eyeballs. It's the best way that I can explain it. It's kind of like you took the observant feat, but you didn't. You don't get any pluses or anything to your modifiers, but you like it's just like little things like dim light doesn't impose disadvantage on your perception checks when it normally would, and also like you could just see like really fine detail from like a mile away because you're a god of a man, I guess.
And then you're an eagle of a man.
yeah, pretty much. And then Wolf, you just get like you're really good at tracking things, and you can move. When tracking, you can move at a normal pace rather than a slow pace, so that's pretty neat. And then at 10th level, you just get like added to. Like you do get 2 spells that you get to cast as a totem barbarian. Actually, 3. Because at the beginning you get Beast Sense and Speak with Animals, but you can only cast them as rituals, so it takes 10 minutes every time. And then at 10th level you also get Commune with Nature. And then at 14th level you can choose between Bear, Eagle, and Wolf again. And I'm not going to lie, Eagle's kind of OP here because you get a flying speed. It only works like per your turn, so if you're in the air at the end of your turn, you're going to fall. But it is, a flying speed nonetheless. Pretty dope. With Bear, anyone that is hostile against you has disadvantage on attacking you. So that kind of also, in a different way, counteracts reckless attacks in a way. Because if you're recklessing, then they would have advantage, but now they have disadvantage. So it's just a straight attack, which is pretty neat. And then Wolf, you can knock like real big boys prone just because you got a large bite to your stick your stick of preference that you whack people with. But yeah, you can knock anyone from the large size category down. You can knock them prone against a spell save.
Nice.
Oh wait, no, it's just you do it.
Oh,
it's
even
as
better.
A bonus action. It says as a bonus action, but you just whack them, and if they're large or less, on the ground.
That's still good.
Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of Totem.
Yeah, Totem is nice. I really enjoy the Totem of the Bear because having that protection from all of that damage is so nice.
Also,
it allows
I
you
will
to take
say,
so many more hits before you go down.
Yeah, also I will say, you don't have to stick with like the same animal every time. You can choose different animals. So like if you take Bear at first level, which you probably will because it's so OP, you don't have to take bear the next one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also, I will say that there's a bunch of like homebrewed, like things that you could take where it's like different animals. Like there's like monkey or whatever. You know?
Yeah, but homebrew, you really got to talk with your DM and see
Yeah.
what'll work, what will they allow, and is it too overpowered, is it underpowered, or is it a good fit? Because that's often the trouble with going homebrew.
Yeah. Always checking
Finding
with
the
your
right
DM
power
first.
level.
That's just like you honestly shouldn't even have to say that for just homebrew in general. It's like an
Yeah.
unspoken rule. Just like always check with your DM. Sometimes I check with my DM and it's even if it's not homebrew. I'm just like, hey, is this cool? I'll give them the idea that I'm going for because I know that it's not always nice to break people's games
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd
with
say
like
always
certain
check-
things. So I'm just like, hey Ben, can I do this? And Ben will just like sigh and like, fine.
Yeah, always. How about this? Just always talk to your DM about
Yeah.
everything. The DM
Yeah, there's
should
no
help.
reason not to.
Yeah, the DM's there to help you achieve greatness, and if a thing you're gonna do is gonna be dumb, or
Yeah.
not gonna work, or not make sense, he's gonna be like, "Hey, that doesn't make much sense in my world. What if you did this? Or
Yeah.
what if we changed it or tweaked it to do
Yeah.
it different?"
And also, if anyone's trying to make an argument that their DM like doesn't let anything go by or anything like that, find a new DM. You know,
Yeah.
you don't have to stay at the table.
You be the DM.
Yeah, you start DMing for your buddies. Who cares? Figure it out. You probably got it.
Anyways, back to the subclasses.
Yeah.
Ben, would you like to go over our final subclass for barbarians, the Zealot?
I think I would actually.
I would love to hear it.
Not gonna lie. After playing a level 20 Zealot Barbarian in a one shot, Zealot is actually my new favorite subclass.
It's pretty good.
It is my favorite subclass in all of Dungeons and Dragons.
Wow.
That's a big statement.
I don't know if I can say that about any subclass in Dungeons and Dragons.
It's a big statement because Barbarian's not even my favorite class.
Yeah.
So, Zealot Barbarian is a barbarian that is chosen by the gods in order to serve their needs. And you gain a bunch of really cool stuff because of that. When you first pick the class at level 3, you deal extra either radiant or necrotic damage on your first hit, which, by the way, at low levels, is a godsend, no pun intended. Magical damage you can pump out regularly every single turn.
Yeah.
Yes, and you get to choose between 2 different kinds?
Screw you, stupid creatures that have resistance to non-magical bludgeoning, slashing, and piercing damage.
But that's not all. Okay. That's not all.
All right.
Okay. You get 2
Salesman
things.
Ben.
You also get an ability called Warrior of the Gods that makes it so that any spell that would resurrect you from the dead does not cost any material components. Which means you don't need a diamond worth 1,000 gold to resurrect someone with the most basic of resurrection spells. You don't even need 50,000 gold to resurrect them with a 9th level true resurrection. It just
Which is
happens.
absurd.
It just
Absolutely absurd.
You can bring them back from literally nothing. They could be dead and dust in the air, and you could cast True Resurrection without paying a single thing, and they would come back perfectly.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
So
That is
crazy.
amazing. At
Ridiculous.
level 3, okay? And
Which,
at level 6,
let's face it, you're still very killable at level 3.
yeah. And here's the thing, at level 6, it just gets better, okay? You know how most really amazing abilities are like recharge on a short or long rest?
Yeah.
Not Zealot Barbarians. They get to re-roll a failed save once per rage.
Oof.
Nice.
That's
Once
crazy.
per rage. Which at high levels, by the way, since you have unlimited rages, you could end your rage every turn, and as a bonus action, rage again every turn, and just get a free reroll every turn because there's no one to stop you.
Which does cost a bonus action every turn, but you know.
Yes, but you don't use your bonus action to attack like you do with Frenzy. So
That's true.
why not? And then at 10th level, you get another ability that lets you that lets creatures up to 10 creatures of your choice within 60 feet of you gain advantage on attack rolls and saving throws until your next turn.
It's an action to do that, right?
It's a bonus action.
A bonus action. So you're still
Okay.
whacking while you do that.
Yeah, you're still whacking while you're doing that.
Does it include you?
Yeah.
There you go.
Or no, sorry, up to 10 other creatures. It does not include you.
There
But
you
you
go.
don't need
All right.
advantage
But
because
still,
you already have it. Because as a barbarian, you get advantage on dex save versus things you can see anyway, and
congratulations.
you can attack for advantage.
Congratulations. You made Barbarian, the frontline tank fighter, into a support. For one
not
turn,
all.
but a
That's
support
not
nonetheless.
all. The best ability of all time. Literally of all time, in my opinion.
Okay.
Rage Beyond Death. At level 14.
Yeah.
If you drop to 0 hit points while raging, you do not go down.
Let's face it, that's kind of likely.
You don't go down. You make your death saves as normal, but you keep fighting. And even if you should fail all of your death saves, you do not die until your rage is over.
Nice.
Which, if you're level 20 and you have infinite rage, you could just never leave your rage.
Well, you do have to leave your rage eventually to re-rage, but
Yeah.
you don't cost anything to resurrect.
Yeah.
Someone could run up and use whatever that cantrip is that stabilizes
Spare
you.
the dying.
Spare the dying on you, and you would be at 1 hit point and not die. And you would still keep fighting.
Yeah.
And then you use that turn to de-rage and re-rage, and then you have a full another minute guaranteed to keep raging. And if you combine that with some of the items that I mentioned earlier, you're even more well, not earlier, but some of the items I'll mention.
We're about to mention,
you'll be even more unkillable.
Yeah.
And the best part is about being unkillable, it doesn't even matter if you die, because if you die, like I keep saying, you just come back. This is my favorite subclass that has ever subclassed. I love this. I love this subclass so much. Anyways.
Yeah, so let's get into those items that you were talking about.
We can do that.
Yeah. So starting off with the first one.
That pairs perfectly well
with the Zealot subclass.
Zealot Barbarian is the periactive wound closure, which makes it so that when you go down, you automatically stabilize at the beginning of your turn. What? Even if you hit 0, if no one hits you 3 times in one turn, which it could happen, admittedly, but even then you just get resurrected. If no one does that and drops you, well, even then, it's actually 4 times because you have to have 1 hit point. You just stabilize at 1 at the start of your turn.
Yeah.
And then you never die.
You take your little problem of having someone to cast Spare the Dying on you. Your item does it for them.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It does require attunement, though. Should be
Yeah.
known. But, I mean, an attunement slot well spent.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my god. You're invincible at that point.
Also, whenever you roll a hit die, so whenever you're taking a short rest and, rolling them hit die to heal back up, because, let's face it, you're not going to be at full health. You also get double whatever you roll. So every time you roll a hit die, you get twice as much. So you're probably going to have to spend less hit die even. So you can stay at it longer.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, off of my Zealot Barbarian rampage that I've been going on, I think one of the most useful items in terms of roleplay of a barbarian, because let's face it, a barbarian's always going to get hit by something. They're going to get messed up. Their body is their armor, so they don't really have anything in the way of just getting hit. Why change clothes, when you're going out adventuring? So that's why I propose one of the greatest items you can invest in as a barbarian if you are into roleplay and if your DM tracks things like this is the Clothes of Mending. They're clothes that mend themselves after getting hit.
What more needs to be said? All those stupid little annoying holes that all these stabs and slashes have put in your perfectly nice tunic because you're not wearing anything else.
With the Clothes of Mending, you could be wearing a nice 3-piece suit, and it would never get damaged, and you could always look absolutely dapper.
I mean, it could be dirtied, but I mean that's what a wizard with prestidigitation's for. Am I right?
Yeah, man. You force them to at sword point. You force them to clean your clothes.
I mean, I don't recommend it sword point.
Axe point, sorry.
Yeah, or big stick point.
Yeah.
What kind of axe?
What kind of axe? Well, I'm glad.
Why not all?
I propose the best kind of axe, the berserker axe.
You know what? I don't know why I didn't see that transition coming.
Yeah, that was on you, Jacob. That was on you.
I'm literally looking at the.
The berserker axe is a wonderful item to give a barbarian real low level 1 even. Okay, and the reason
because every DM gives their level 1 characters rare items, but
Hey. Relax. They will never part with this axe. Trust me, they'll never need another magic item ever. It's a +1 axe, which is debatable. You could make that +2 or +3 as the game goes on. Let them upgrade it as they go. And while you're attuned to it, your hit point maximum increases by 1 for every level. Which by level 20, if you've had it for 20 levels, you will have 20 extra hit points, which for a barbarian is amazing. Only one downside. And by 1, I mean like 5.
Yeah.
The axe is cursed. It is a cursed item. Spoiler alert. And while you're attuned to it, you refuse to part with it. Ever. You refuse to let it leave your person. You always have it on you. You cannot go on without it. You have to have it. You also have disadvantage on attacking anything with any weapon other than the berserker axe. You have to use it all the time. And it's an interesting weapon.
Yeah, keep going, Ben.
Yeah.
Keep telling us about how great this axe is.
About this berserker axe and
what kind of curses it gives you. The curse is only, you just can't leave it. You don't want to get rid of it anyways. What's so wrong with that? Yeah. Continue.
Every time you take damage, you have to make a wisdom saving throw, which for barbarians, not that great.
Yeah.
Do I hear dumb stat?
Or you go berserk. And while you're berserk, you have to use your action each round to attack the creature nearest to you. Which, if your party knows about this, they will stay the hell away from you. And they will let you do your thing, okay? But if they don't, and this is the first time you're using it, yeah, they're in danger. And
I'm in danger.
And if you can make extra attacks, you have to make those extra attacks. And you move to the nearest creature to you to make those attacks each time. And you stay berserk until you start your turn with no creatures within 60 feet of you that you can see or hear.
Yeah.
In other words, it's good for taking out entire armies
with no one else around.
Well, no. You kill until there's no one else around.
Yeah. So, no one else around. No friends around.
Yeah. Well, no, they can be. They just have to stay 60 feet away from you. They have to let you do your thing. And
I hope you've got range.
Oh yeah. You better have range.
Sorry, other frontline fighter classes.
Yeah, hey, definitely. Well, your other frontline fighter should be a barbarian that can fly. So solves the issue.
There you go. But yeah, very good item for barbarians.
Debatable.
Also very risky item for barbarians.
Yeah, I think out of those best low-level items, I would go periaptive wound closure, close amending, and yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Oh,
those ones have the Mike and Jake Traveler Mike and Traveler Jake stamp of approval.
well, I'm giving mine to the Berserker Axe. You want to know why?
Why?
Because in order to figure out what this item does, the party wizard might take it in the back and try to mess with it and see, what's going on, while the rest of the party's holding down the barbarian.
If that man values his life, he will throw it over a cliff after he figures it
And
out.
let's say he tries, let's attune to this. Let's see what the big deal is. The wizard can attune to it too. There's no restriction on that. And the wizard could go in.
All of a sudden, the wizard, the barbarian's like, "Can I please have it?" And he's like, "No."
No.
Here's the thing, though. That wizard has to get it away from the barbarian.
The wizard doesn't want to
the rest
keep
of the
giving
party
it to her.
holding him down in the other room.
Anyways, moving on. There were a couple other things that we told you that we were going to talk about today, and that is, one, how to roleplay a barbarian in creative ways, and two, who is Harbeck? The character that held top place for the longest time for me.
Yeah.
He's at a tie now, so he's not knocked down, but he's not completely at the top all alone. All right.
But first, character died.
But
first, let's get into the role play first. I want to go ahead and end on Harbeck.
Oh, okay. That way, because let's face it, a lot of this other stuff they could find in other places.
Yes.
But you can't hear about Harbeck some other.
Harbeck, you have to wait till the end for.
Yeah, you gotta stick with us to hear about Harbeck.
What? Role playing a barbarian. Let's talk for real right now, alright? Most barbarians out there are gonna have really low intelligence, because who needs it?
Spelling's for losers anyways.
Yeah, no, we don't need to read, we don't even need to count. We just need to kill and kill and kill and kill, and then drink and eat and then kill.
Ironically, though, with brutal critical, barbarian crits are just a lot of math.
No, I don't think so. Anyways, I don't know what that means, but back to what I was saying. Most people view barbarians as these shirtless, beefy maniacs that run around killing everybody and everything, which is entirely accurate and fair. However, it's not the only way to roleplay a barbarian. Some other ways. My personal favorite that I was telling Michael about just today. It's the man who has always experienced issues controlling his rage, his anger. He gets worked up about things. He gets angry about things. He gets upset when other people talk to him in certain ways. Other than that, though, he lives his life like a normal, everyday Joe. Maybe he works on a ship. And all of his mates, they talk a lot of crap, and he talks crap back. But one day, they go a little too far, and he snaps, and he goes off, and he attacks this man, and he gets kicked off the ship, and no one else will hire him, and the town knows now. He's no good. He's violent. He can't be trusted. He goes to the next town, but rumors already spread. He can't be hired for normal work no more. So maybe this guy gets desperate. Maybe he's hungry, and he says, you know what? I'm going to take on an adventuring job. I'm going to go kill something. And as he goes and tries to do it, he finds out, you know what? I'm pretty good at this. I can get angry. I can take out my anger on something, and it feels pretty good. When he comes back, the town's grateful. Not the one he came from, but the new one. They're grateful he did it for him. And he thinks, you know what? It's not a bad way to make money. That's my favorite way to do barbarians. Not the weird, Outlander, I came from the middle of nowhere and I hunt for a living. No. It's because I'm angry and I ruined my old job, but I got fired and I can't find a new one. This is the best option for me.
I like it.
That's my favorite type of barbarian. The one who just has anger issues.
Yeah,
He
and
should
that's
probably go to a class about it, but that's a lot of work. He doesn't want to do that. So it's
and that's kind of different take on barbarians that not a lot of people consider, because a lot of people want to go with the stereotypical, I'm from just this podunk town,
Hey,
I lost my family, and now I'm going to fly into a fit of rage, and I'm going to avenge their deaths.
no lie, bro. No lie. My first barbarian, Brick, he was a barbarian tribe member. That was his background. He was
Yep.
alive. He was a barbarian. I had never watched Critical Role before. I just did that on my own, and the voice sounded almost the same. I was like, oh no. And I just did that. And it was fun. It was my character, you know? I played that for a long time. I have much love for that guy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, my newest barbarian, Roar, he's way different.
Yeah.
He's so much different than
Yeah.
Brick ever was. And it's fun to just branch out and see what kind of creative ways you can use this. And
Yeah. It's fun.
another
It's fun
creative
trying
way-
to play the same class as you've already played, but make it a totally different character. I'm always
Yeah.
for that.
A fun way that I have come to understand Barbarian is instead of thinking of it as a rage, at one point I had a character where I just renamed rage to focus. And I would just go into like this like super intense mode where I was focused entirely on what I was doing, to the point where if my other party members were in the middle of doing something and they started like crying out for help, I wouldn't notice. I would roleplay as if I just didn't even notice. I was focused entirely on this guy in front of me. And
Yeah.
once he's done, I'll pay attention to everything else for a second.
Yeah.
But
It's just kind of
it
like
was-
silent killing machine.
yeah, he actually didn't talk in combat, which was terrifying.
Yeah.
Like, to make no noise at all when fighting somebody,
Yeah.
and your teammates are all yelling out like, "I need help," you know, what's up, da, 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 and he's just quiet, staring you down.
Yeah.
Like, it was weird, but it's so fun.
I like to think that whenever you play him, you just lock eyes, or wherever the DM's eyes, even if he's not looking at you, you just lock eyes with him, and you just keep
I did.
staring at him, holding your die, ready to recklessly attack, just like.
That's exactly what I did. Except I never recklessly attacked.
Unfortunate.
He carefully
That would-
attacked.
I carefully attacked.
Unfortunate. Oh well.
Yes. So now I want to go ahead and give you guys a not too in-depth description of Harbeck, because I do want to save a little bit of him for a story that we're going to be telling in the future,
Yeah.
because things got real weird and things got whack.
Things
All
got
right.
real whack.
Whack. Double
And-
whack.
I'm pretty sure some grudges are still held.
Yeah, I as a player,
I'm pretty
not
sure
as a
Michael
character,
still is upset
as
with
a
me.
player, I hold grudges because of something that happened.
I'm pretty
But
sure
that's for
Michael
another
is
time.
Still upset with me.
Soon.
Oh no.
Yes, so Harbeck, or more correctly, Harbeck Holderheck.
Harbeck Holder heck.
He comes from a good Christian Minecraft server. No, I'm just playing. He came from the world of one of our other friends, and this was due to me having lost Shayna, and I needed a new character, and
Yep.
I was gone for a few weeks, and then I came back, and we were in this dude's world, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna create a character here. And then eventually this character traveled back into Ben's world.
Yeah.
And Harbeck came from a village with his wife and kid and stuff, and he was a blacksmith there. He was a blacksmith and a warrior. And he was a dwarf as well. So this dwarven blacksmith warrior started to adventure with Cade and Gerald. And these are two characters that I hope that you guys will learn to love in the future when we discuss them, because they are fantastic characters,
Hey,
Oh,
player
dang.
feelings aside,
I
about
hope they love
grudges.
Gerald.
I'd like to hope that they love and absolutely hate Cade, because Cade is so flawed.
I
He's
just
a
hope
terrible
everybody
person.
I'd be okay with
Listen.
everyone loving Gerald's daughter more than Gerald, honestly.
Yeah.
player grudges aside, Cade is a great character.
Terrible friend. Terrible
I
person.
I have my feelings for hating him sometimes, but it is what it is. And anyways, Harbeck comes back to Ben's world with Cade because
Yeah.
Gerald stayed back.
Gerald
And
retired.
yes, indeed. And Harbeck over time opened up his own blacksmith shop in Ben's world where he ended up becoming one of the best blacksmiths in the city and even across some of the like nearby lands.
Yeah.
His work is still going on even though he's dead. And it hurts to say that he's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, he was Michael's character, so he couldn't have lived for that long. Am I right? I'm
It
sorry,
was only
Michael.
a
I had to
character
say
that I
it.
had for like
I'm
a year and a
sorry.
half.
I know. I'm sorry.
Oh, that hurts.
I thought it, and I had to burn you. I'm so sorry.
All right, so if you guys would be interested in doing a podcast, I'm looking for a new person to replace Jacob. Send in your applications when you send us stuff on Patreon.
Honestly, I can't have the
God.
hardest credentials. I'm pretty much every yup in this podcast. All you gotta do is
But,
just be here and say yup every couple seconds. You're just as
but
good as me.
Harbeck, this dwarven barbarian that loved to run his own forge, he adventured quite a bit, and he ended up coming across this item. This item was the Dwarven Thrower, one of my favorite items as a Dwarven Barbarian, because it is a +3 Warhammer that can only, well, it's not only attunable by dwarves, but if a dwarf attunes to it, they get extra bonuses.
Yeah.
They can do even more damage with it. We can go into that later, or you can look it up. We'll figure that out. We're going a little bit long here, so I wanted to try and make it a little bit shorter. Anyways, Harbeck lived
Actually,
a life
Michael,
of.
It
Huh?
says that only dwarves can attune to it.
Can only dwarves attune to it? Was
Yeah.
I wrong?
I just looked it up right now.
Oof.
Michael, it's not that surprising that you're wrong.
Hey, listen.
R.I.P. Michael this episode. Jeez.
Anyways, if anybody would like to run a podcast, I'm
There are
interested in joining.
2 slots available.
I will join your podcast, or you can join mine. I'm going to be going solo now, and we're going to be doing some ASMR podcast.
Oh god!
Oh my goodness.
Please don't
No,
ever do that again. All right, I'll never rag on
never
my.
do what again?
I'll never rag on you again if you just please don't do that.
Yeah. So I really don't know what else to tell you guys about Harbeck without going into detail about his.
You can talk
his...
about his sad past. I mean, this man, like, he didn't lose, like, they didn't die, but he has no connection to everything that he knew.
Yeah, that's true. So I mean, in the process of coming to this world, he had no way of returning to his own. He has no way to contact his wife and kid.
Yeah, like, while playing with Harbeck, as from another player's standpoint, like, you couldn't, like, it wasn't exactly on my brain all the time. He seemed like a really, ambitious and, well-thinking character. Level-headed, really, honestly, for a barbarian. Pretty level-headed and all that. But he was a sad character. Like, he had a sad start, middle, and end, if you ask me.
Oh, definitely. I mean, he definitely made a lot of friends along the way.
Yeah.
And it's weird. I like to think that he had a lot of friends at the end, but
He did.
he favored
he
one
did.
over the rest. And that was Lava Lamp. For multiple reasons.
I loaned him so much money.
That's true. he was not necessarily in his own state of mind.
Yeah. I really shouldn't have. I really shouldn't have. A real good friend would have been like, I don't know what's going on, man, but you need to get your stuff together here, bro.
Yeah, Harbeck said he needed money for a very big thing going on, and asked Cade, and Cade gave him 10,000 platinum.
Yeah, Cade being the money man that he is, the Scrooge McDuck.
But yeah, Harbeck made a very unfortunate ending, which is
Yeah.
part of the reason I hold some grudges. But definitely
His fate
going to
was
be
decided.
part of a huge story.
His fate was decided on one day in particular. He
And
just
we
didn't
keep
know it.
on referencing throughout our episodes a story that'll probably take, four sessions of this to go through.
Yeah.
This is that story, and it's insane. I mean, just talking about it, it makes me remember some of it, and it brings back some memories, man.
Yeah.
Let's say, why don't we cover that after we finish all these classes?
Maybe. Yeah. We can do
Maybe we'll see if we can arrange that, because it's going to be a lot of planning to go through. But I don't want this to go on too long, so we're going to go ahead and wrap up. If you guys have any questions about Harbeck, email them to us, DM them to us on our Instagram. Where can they find us online, guys?
Well, we're on Instagram at Travelers Tips and Tales. We actually have a Facebook page that we just recently brought back from the dead. Also at Travelers Tips and Tales. We have a Twitter at Tips Tales, Tumblr Travelers Tips and Tales. We have a Patreon if you'd like to come support us. We'd always appreciate anything that you can give us. Our Patreon is at Travelers Tips and Tales as well. And then if you want to email us, it's also Travelers Tips and Tales. And also if you're watching, or travelerstipsandtales@gmail.com, sorry. And if you're watching on YouTube, all of that stuff is down in the bio. We also have a link tree that are, I'm pretty sure, in all of our episodes. So you can click on that and it'll take you to wherever you want to go. And yeah, we also have a YouTube channel that we upload all of our episodes to, Travelers Tips and Tales as well.
Yeah, and I would like to mention, at the time of recording this, a few episodes ago, I mentioned the first 3 people to become patrons will have the chance to come on as a guest on the podcast.
Yeah.
One of those slots has been filled. We're gonna work with that guy and figure out, what we're gonna have him on for, what we're gonna talk about with him.
Yeah.
2 slots are still open.
Yeah.
I can't stress enough how fun it'll be to have another guest on that we may or may not know.
Yeah.
I mean, we know, a couple of us know the guy that is already on.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it could be any of you guys. A few of you, if you are listening and you are from our Instagram, you know that we are real. We have done a giveaway now.
Yep.
Come on. Help us out here.
Where
Do
y'all
the
at?
things. Do the things. Share with all of your friends.
Yeah.
We could use the views.
We would
need the
appreciate it all.
views.
All right, here's something that's not so shameless as Michael likes to do. I'm sorry, I had to get that one. That's the one I have to keep.
I'm sorry,
yeah.
you wanted to go shameless?
Okay, let's not.
I mean, I don't think it's that bad, personally.
Yeah.
The
Anyways,
ASMR.
I will say we love our fans, the ones that listen. We love hearing feedback from people. We love interacting with you guys.
Yeah.
And the more people that listen, the more people we get to interact with. And honestly, what we really want to do is take all the people that watch us and listen to us and interact with us, and we want to basically put them on pedestals so that as we get more popular, they get more popular, and then the things that they're working on get viewed by more people. And that's what we're hoping to do. We want to grow the community. We want everyone to know about everybody else.
Yeah, and also we always kind of say that Ben is like our social media guy, and if you have a question that you want to ask us, but you don't really think that Ben himself is exactly the one you want to answer it, like, me and Michael still check all of our social medias, like throughout the day, and also you can email us, and also if you want, when you're asking a question, you can just like tag, like say like for traveler blank, what is blah 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 blah, and we'll be so glad to answer whatever you want,
definitely.
whatever question you might have for us.
Yeah.
We just kind of want to get as much knowledge out to new players as we can. So all questions are very accepted, and much appreciated.
Yeah. Plus, we want to have fun, and we want everyone else to have fun, and we want to have fun with you guys.
Yeah.
We want to hear your stories. We want to share ours. It's a great thing.
Don't be scared. We got open arms.
Do not be afraid. Come, share with us your stories. We want to hear them. And if you are down, I've never said that in that voice before.
Yeah,
if you are down, come on to the podcast with us and share your stories.
I'm gonna be honest. I have recently developed a new goal, and I have not shared it with you guys yet.
Okay.
I am hoping that by the time we get to session 100, that we will have enough of a following on here, which means we need your guys' help, that we would be able to start looking into setting up a live show.
Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh.
Oh.
Ooh. We take the power away from whoever's editing. Everything that's said goes. Ooh.
Here's what we do. We take the power away from the editor, and we make it a nightmare for public relations.
Man, we're really not helping ourselves here.
Yeah, I think being able to do a live show would be an incredible experience. Even if we only have like 50 people show up, I want to do it.
Yeah, and another reason, I know it might seem like Traveler Mike is being a little like, persistent here, but we do want to let you guys know that we do have big plans that we want to put in action, but we just don't have the financial funding for us to try and set things ago. But we have big plans that we want to do that can help, you guys learn more about the game, and just even if you already know about the game, just cool things that you can have. And like we have all these cool things that we want to do, but we just can't yet. So we need your guys' help. Every view matters. Every view helps. Likes where you can. It all helps us.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to do this, but I'm going to call out our Instagram here. We have over 200 followers on Instagram, and we average like less than 20 views per episode.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Guys,
Why?
help us understand, please. Why do so many people follow us but not listen?
I think my memes are just too good. Maybe I should make worse memes. But honestly, worse memes are better too. So, man, we're really.
I think they're intimidated. They're intimidated by the meme game. Anyways, with that, this has been Travelers, Tips, and Tales. I've been Mike.
I'm Jake.
And I'm Ben.
Da, 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 da.